And it is my absolute pleasure now to welcome to the stage the feature for today. I wasn't the person that booked him. This was Steve arranged all this, and I'm very honoured to be the person welcoming Peter to the stage today. He's a man of many talents. I didn't know him when he was when you were doing Thomas's and many other music stores, but his knowledge in music is rich and deep, and so I'm sure if you ask him an obscure question about whether it's a classical musician like Jacqueline Dupre, or whether it's someone more in rock, I'm sure he'll be able to give a learned answer. He has his books lined up there. They're all $20, is that right, you were saying? And his, I also really enjoy his forays into the art of epigrams and aphorisms, which he shares quite literally on Facebook occasionally. And so he is a lovely fellow. His poetry as well as his knowledge is rich and deep. And I'd really like to welcome him to the stage now. Please welcome Peter Bakowski, everyone.
Start off with a aphoristic poem for Timothy. It's called Proverbs for the 21st Century. People in glass houses shouldn't throw parties. Never look a gift voucher in the mouth. Not every clod has a silver lining. Lunch before you leave. What's good for the goose? Let the goose decide. I'm going to read some poems from my latest book, Our Ways on Earth. And this one's called Driving Instructions. Start the poem with a verb. Release the handbrake that's a comma, but slow for the intersection of two thoughts. Once you know where the poem is going, accelerate before it gets dark. Stay alert to changing conditions, soft edges, metaphors bounding across the road, falling rocks strewn in your path by an internal critic. Upon reaching the destination, try to accept that it may not be the destination which you had in mind, but that's poetry for you. Check that your license for it hasn't expired. This one's called Poem to the Pencil. Please, when you feel not much more than a stub, know that the eraser is your friend, ready to follow you anywhere. And the notebook will always greet you with open arms. I cherish each shopping list and recipe you've helped me to write out in all kinds of weather. You're magical, more than wood and lead. Let's wander beyond the backs of envelopes, underlining as we go. When I worked at Gaslight and Thomas's Music in the CBD at the top end of Burke Street, two record shops I worked at for probably about 25 years, I went to Pellegrini's hundreds of times, and I've written a couple of poems that have Pellegrini's in them. So this one's called The Morning Clientele at Pellegrini's. A trio of nurses, their faces animated by coffee and gossip, laugh loudly, another night shift done. Closer to Claude and the cafe entrance sits an elderly man pouring sugar into his black coffee. He talks to Paul, the barista, in Italian, interspersed with some English. The weather, no rain. The soccer, another loss for the Socceroos. Life since his Maria died. Admits to going more often out to Flemington Racecourse. The young people on the train, so many with tattoos. There was a time when only sailors, jailbirds and Pacific Islanders happened. Flawed sketches, the clientele's faces, Staleys each individual when they pause, then gaze into the cafe mirrors at their iPhone. The bags of Vittorio coffee which line the poster-cluttered shelves behind the cafe counter. Nino's there, surveying the cafe from the threshold of the kitchen. He's wearing one of his signature checked shirts, a coffee-stained tea towel draped over his right shoulder. In comes a guy from American Tailors, Sebastian. He'll talk to anyone with 2 ears about his love of opera, his favourite recordings, how Mario del Monaco is the greatest tenor of all time. Claude's sketches. Today his lines and shadings are sure, controlled, pleasing to his eye. Each year I get commissioned to write a poem for a friend of mine who headhunts CEOs and for really big companies. So I'm supposed to try and write a motivational...
Headhunt CEOs.
I don't mean headhunting like Yes. So the first year I was given that commission, I was given the quote by Socrates, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So I try and make the poem a sort of motivational poem, but also universal. So I'll read you a couple of them. The first one's called "Consider Your Purpose." Perhaps your purpose is to temper an ego, restore balance and reason, illuminate a new path. Let our belief in process and rigour send us into library, laboratory and conference. Let history and our conscience remind us to be vigilant and honourable in the use of our learning and influence as we seek to make the world attentive to its glories and challenges.